Okay, it seems we're on air. Hello, everybody. Today in the room, I have with me my colleague from Pragma, Tommy. Hey,
Hello.
Tommy.
Hey.
Tommy will be working with introducing a number of cask powered instances at one of our customers. So he wanted to become much more familiar with the project. That's why he's here with me. I can see Joseph, Tim, and Oleg also joined. So hi guys. I'll start sharing the screen.
Yeah, sorry for being late a bit.
No worries. We didn't give you much time. So I hope you can see my Google Doc now. I can't. Yeah, feel free to update the agenda if you need if you want to add something. We can also shift the points. I mean the order in case any of you have to leave early, but I can't see anyone complaining. So yeah, since we last talked basically a month ago, we had a number of releases. And Joseph, is it okay if I ask you to comment a little about the latest releases? Since and thank you so much for that. You've been doing a lot, and you were responsible for most of the releases in last weeks. So can you comment on the releases? What happens? What's interesting? We can see on Gitter that some people are sometimes becoming a little bit confused regarding what happens. So I think it makes sense to comment a little.
Yeah. So where to start? We did a lot of releases, I guess.
Yeah, I think the 111 is the last one we mentioned before.
I was Claudia. Oh, my bad.
Sorry. So can we start with the 112?
Yeah. So I can't even remember from memory, but we did some work on I don't know actually. God damn it! I can't even read my own release notes.
Yeah, but we don't have to go through all the changes. But if there was anything,
I don't think there was anything
significant.
specific in this one that
Yeah.
changed. Well, okay, actually there was one. We added for people who are using configuration as code to write test. We added a way to create a class rule. So instead of you having to create configured with code on each of your tests, you can do it on the class role. So you can like have easier time making one test that or multiple tests that use the same configuration. Basically, that's a nice feature for plugin developers at least. And oh yeah, there was the copy paste actually in release 12. So or in the we have now the view element actually. So you can now instead of exporting and downloading a file, you can actually view the configuration.
Yeah.
As you can see in the lovely screenshot there, makes it a lot easier.
It does. It does. And then in 113 there was it was extended with this easy copy paste.
Yeah, I found one issue. You cannot select a single piece of text of it, which I plan to fix. But you can at least do Control A, and then you can select everything and paste it basically into a file, and then you can start editing it.
Yeah.
A lot quicker, at least.
Yeah. And then I think the biggest changes came with 114.
Yeah, here we moved out of a lot of the support plugins. So luckily, thanks to a lot of work from Daniel, he fixed up Magic Auth. So now that it supports its own, it has its removed the configurator from JCasC's support plugin to Matrix Auth. So there it's now supported in version 2.4, and he also did some improvements. So that's super awesome.
Yeah. So the message is that the configuration is called support plugin, that is was required to get support for a number of plugins is becoming smaller and smaller.
Yes.
The job DSL is now supported by the job DSL plugin itself, but support was introduced in version 1.73. The same goes for SSH credentials. The required version since version 1.14 of JCasC is now 1.16, and matrix authorization or authentication 2.4 is required to work with Jenkins configuration as code since version 1.14. So am I right? Am I correct when I say that only role strategy plugin is left in configuration as code support?
Credential plugins and then role strategy.
Okay, credentials. So yeah, and I've seen some discussion regarding role strategy that you and Oleg were involved with.
Yeah, I tried to move it, but then I saw test failures for some reason. But
Okay.
I'll explore it more, I guess.
Okay, so the role strategy plugin is ongoing.
Yes.
I understand it.
Credential plugins just needs also some fixes, and then it's on track as well to be removed, so we can hopefully get rid of it soon. Support plugin.
Yeah.
And then from the YAML point of view, nothing should change.
Nothing has changed now from the YAML point of view. As long as you install the new versions of the plugins, as noted, then it will work.
Very good.
Yeah, checking Oleg. You're just quiet.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I was going to say something before. I think he was too quiet for you to hear him though.
Okay, let's see.
Here he is.
Is it working now?
Yep, it's working.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to add some comments. So regarding role strategy, I'll help with reviews, and yeah, it would be great to get it over the line. And a special thanks for working on the export feature, because yeah, we hit some issues with that recently. So if we get export feature working in parallel with migration, it would be perfect. One of the things which I wanted to share with the team is about compatibility, because yeah, today there was a question in chat that job configuration stopped working. There is a default engine in Jenkins which allows to mark the plugin as incompatible. I pasted the link in the meeting notes. So when you remove functionality, it might make sense to put a flag to the metadata, so that next time, so when the plugin gets released, you get a warning in the update center, which will at least motivate people to look at the changelog, because yeah, all of us know that nobody reads changelogs. Though yeah, changelogs of JCasC are cool, and I put topic to the bottom of the list to discuss it.
I just want to mention anyone with at least commit rights can actually, or commit rights to the GitHub repository can edit these. So if you find improvements, then please, or if someone has improvements to the changelog, please help.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I really like the way that changelog looks now. There is, of course, a number of people that never read those. And I've seen you, Joseph and Oleg, talking about this update center notification kind of thing. And I think it's worth looking at, even if most of the JCasC users rely on Docker or something else to install plugins for them. I think it's still worth investigating. So
yeah.
Thank you for the link, Oleg. We'll have to look at it.
Yeah, even with Docker, it might make some sense to have annotations, because yeah, we have started the project for advanced plugin manager CLI tooling, and yeah, I believe that at some point it will be integrated into Docker images, and it will be pulling information from update centers. Well, it does it even now, but it doesn't show compatibility issues. But we could improve it to do so.
Yeah.
Or even improve it to also pull in release notes from the from GitHub, because most people use changelog markdowns or GitHub releases. So I think that could be cool as well to support that.
Yeah, and speaking about that, I wanted to mention or highlight how much I like the, like, I don't know how to call it, like UI changes in GitHub. So this new way of displaying releases and the changes with categories and emojis. This is really nice, and I don't know, for me it makes it a little bit much more readable. But there are also other things, like we have a number of templates that are being improved in time, as Joseph mentioned. Like, he put a lot of effort into that, and also other people. But pull requests to update those templates are of course welcomed if anyone discovers that something is missing or something could be improved. But we have a number of templates
Yeah, and actually I had a question about that. So yeah, JCasC logs, change logs look really good. Would it be possible to share your experience in the Jenkins developer mailing list? Because if we adopted the same approach in other components, it may help users, it may help maintainers. So yeah.
I had some plans to actually spend time on this, create a JEP actually. As I think even Jake suggested that that I would do this, and I agree with him. But the way I wanted to do it was actually probably use release drafter inside the GitHub org. You can make a file where you can configure it for everyone, so they could then inherit it.
Yeah, right.
And then at least try and improve it. But then also for the plugin sites, I would probably create some API that can pull the release notes from GitLab or GitHub, so that it's stored in the plugins and can be viewed from the plugin site.
Yeah, right.
Probably also look into Update Center, where how to include it there as well.
Yeah, so yeah, it would be interesting to have that, and we could start from something. So yeah, if you're interested in this topic, I'm also interested, because, well, too many components to maintain. So yeah, why not?
But I have a really good experience with the release drafter. It's actually really nice. I saw that Blue Ocean started using it on their repository.
Yeah, but no, it's a great idea if you can share like how you did it, why you did it, and I don't know, Jeff, why not? You can create a pull request when this is described, and then use the mailing lists to kind of promote the pull request, so people can join and comment, or at least look at
it usually works in another way. So you start from mailing list and then create a JEP. And in this case, it would be particularly reasonable because, well, you already have something to share in the mailing list, which could facilitate feedback, which could facilitate some adoption. And then once you get to the JEP, you get a number of stakeholders. For example, we are doing the same approach with Dependabot nowadays. So you may have seen a thread about adopting Dependabot in Jenkins. So yeah, we could do the same with release drafter. So yeah, if you're up to just send an email to developer mailing list to kick off the discussion, it would be really nice.
I'll try and get around to do that.
Can you share the link for the Jenkins developer mailing list, Oleg? So I mean, I just in case someone misses it.
Okay.
Or I can do it. Just
yeah, I've already done that.
Great, thanks. So yeah, that was it. The improvements and introducing templates, introducing kind of automatic labeling, stale issues, and stuff like that. I like the fact that we're trying to make the collaboration easier, and I really appreciate it. So what else? The copy paste of export feature we covered, and I was actually hoping, Oleg, that you will give us some update regarding Google Summer of Code. And I was checking the projects yesterday, and the plugin installation manager CLI got my attention. So I'm wondering how we can benefit from that. But yeah, you.
Mm-hmm.
The mic is yours.
Okay, so yeah, probably I'll share my screen. Just a second, I'll just close whatever crap I have open.
I will stop sharing for now then.
Okay. So yeah, just to provide some context, this year we had a number of project ideas, and we had project idea specifically dedicated to configuration as code. This one. Unfortunately, we didn't get students applying to this project idea. There were some discussions, but well, probably, I'm not sure if this is the second year. We may need to think about how we promote this idea next year. Probably it was too complicated to students to understand what is this about. But we still have a number of activities happening in other plugins. So for example, for all plugins, being compatible with configuration as code will be one of the criteria which we will be defining. Some projects explicitly define that they will be configuration as code plugin around work. For example, Cloud Features for External Workspace Manager, there is a student, Mafi, who is working on that. And yeah, pretty much for other projects. And we have plugin installation manager CLI tool library. So it's actually a follow-up to the old ticket create. Well, I'm not sure why Jenkins.io website is really slow today. It's not the first time I hit it. Okay. So it opens something. Yeah, so there is a question about having a unified way to manage plugins in Jenkins. So yeah, if you used the early version of JCasC, you may see that there is a functionality which allows to install plugins. And finally, this functionality was removed by Joseph because, well, there was no sustainable way to keep it running, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, I encountered some issues, like some Jenkins instances were ending up in like infinite restart loop because someone manually installed the plugin, even if the functionality was not used, it was there. So this restart was sometimes, triggered without a reason. And
yeah, right. Plus, also many kinds of chicken and egg problems. Yeah. And on the organization-wide level, we have even a bigger problem because we have many ways to manage plugins. It's not only configuration as code and Docker images. You have plugins txt, which does something. Then we have custom work packager, which also does something. Jenkins Evergreen, Jenkins File Runner. They have ways to manage plugins, and of course, Jenkins Core manages plugins on its own. And the biggest problem with all of that is that all these implementations behave differently. So the idea of this project originally it was created. This ticket was created by Nicola Delov, but we discussed it a few times before. The idea is to create a new engine which would allow replacing others, or at least would allow unifying features. And that's why we started the project, which would be about plugin installation manager, CLI tool, and library. So it means that it will be a CLI tool, which we will be able to include in various images like Docker. And it will be a library which we will be able to reuse in components like JCasC. So yeah, there is an obvious issue that it has to be run on the startup before you really install the plugins. So it means that JCasC logic would need significant update to use this library as is. But yeah, we might just include it into the Jenkins code directly. Who knows? So yeah, there is a lot of things to discuss. But yeah, the idea is that there will be just a thing which allows checking for updates, which allow applying updates driven by configuration files or by some other conditions. And here we can also say about things like integration with change logs, for example, to pull information about incompatible updates or something like that. And yeah, we also want to have more features in the list. So yeah, the full scope of the project is yet to be defined. But yeah, this project will be driven by a platform special interest group. Tomorrow we have a meeting at 2 p.m. UTC. So yeah, if anybody is interested, you can just join this meeting. Okay, so this is what I wanted to share. But yeah, sorry that we didn't get student applications for JCasC specifically again. So if you want to spend some time, you could just talk what we could do about that.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't involved that much in promoting it, and I think I was clear from the start that I can't be very much involved in the project. But yeah, I just want to say that I'm gonna speak at a number of conferences this year, and like 30% of my presentation is supposed to be about how to start contributing to open source, using some example from making plugins compatible with configuration as code. So I'm hoping I'm gonna find some potential contributors outside of Google Summer of Code project. So that's one part. When it comes to bringing JCasC as a Google Summer of Code project, I don't really have any great ideas. I don't know what makes the project more or less interesting for students that apply. But
yeah, so I've thought about offering projects on a finer granularity level. So instead of saying configuration as code support in plugins, maybe pick a specific area. So for example, if there is a number of funds, let's say of GitHub stack, or maybe of Azure stack, we could say that, okay, configuration is code for Azure, configuration is code for GitHub. And then it would at least narrow down the focus, and maybe it will make the project more easy for students.
yeah. And yeah, maybe it still needs to gain some popularity to be more, I don't know, recognizable for students.
Yeah, the problem with it, if you talk about students, not many students are really involved into Jenkins.
Yeah.
And definitely there are not so many students who study DevOps, who study configuration as code, who study basic practices, and who get a relevant experience at universities. So when we say configuration as code for Jenkins in our proposal, yeah, they do not know what is Jenkins, so they do not know why configuration as code is interesting. So maybe
Yeah, so we
we
have to make it sound like an interesting project for a software developer, not a DevOps engineer, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I understand it's done for this year. Like we can't do anything to.
And this is what I wanted to talk about because even if we cannot do anything about JTalk, currently we are thinking about having another program because you may have seen that we have 7 projects, but effectively there were more good applications which we were unable to accept due to the limited number of slots and due to some other issues. Moreover, we applied to Google Season of Docs this year. We were not accepted. So, but there is some interest to have documentation-based projects. And now I'm exploring options to have another program under the umbrella of Linux Foundation. So Jenkins is formally a part of Linux Foundation now through Continuous Delivery Foundation. And yeah, there is community bridge platform, which is actually considered to be JSOC as a service. So what we could do theoretically is to run a Jenkins-based program for using this community bridge portal and maybe attract some contributors through that. Moreover, we wouldn't be limited to JSOC limitations. For example, we would be able to take not only students, but also more experienced engineers who just want to be introduced to open source and who are interested in some mentorship. So yeah, it's one of the options I'm exploring. But yeah, I'm not sure when I will be able to come up with final proposal because yeah, too many things on my plate.
Yeah, but it's good. I think it's a very interesting idea, especially broadening the audience, and by that I'm not targeting only students. So yeah, let us know how it goes.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So is there anything else any of you would like to share or discuss today?
Have we discussed two items in the agenda? Like there are multiple improvements regarding handling of the repo in GitHub and the easy copy paste of view export. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether we really touched that.
I mean, yeah. So we mentioned, this was me showing the templates for pull requests, where we decided. I mean, we've decided. You suggested that maybe Joseph could share it on a Jenkins developer mailing list, and the copy paste of view export. We basically started with it when we were going through the releases, when we were showing what was introduced, new features, and yeah, the export part was like downloading a file before. Now it opens in a browser and you can just mark everything and copy. So that was the thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, so anything else, anyone?
Yeah, I have one topic, but I would rather discuss it after the recording. So if you have some time, guys, please stay online after we close the broadcast.
Okay. And I don't hear anything else from Tim and Joseph, so yeah, we're gonna stop the office hours now. Thank you for joining and for listening.
Yeah. And thanks to everybody for working on JCasC. Yeah, I was on leave for several months, but yeah, I came back. I went through changelogs, etc. Yeah, so there is so many changes coming there. Thanks, team. Thanks, Joseph.
Yeah, I can't follow them. They are too fast. Okay, meeting is over. Thanks. Bye.
All right. See ya. Thanks. Bye.